Whether you love him or you hate him, there's no debating the fact that LeBron James is one of the most physically gifted athletes to ever grace the game of basketball. Aside from the fact that he's bigger than most NFL linebackers at 6'8" and 250 pounds, and that he can play any position on the court with ease, what makes him such a special player is the fact that he plays the game with such a high basketball IQ and court awareness. In reality, LeBron James is like no other player we've seen before. However, not everyone seems to think so. Over the years, James has gathered many critics, so let's check out what they have been saying. Today's video will be about what NBA players really think about LeBron James. Before we begin today, make sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing NBA videos. Let's keep rolling. Number 1. Charles Barkley. In 2007, Charles Barkley ranked his top players again. While he indeed did not mess with his initial top 5, Michael Jordan, Oscar Robertson, Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he bumped up LeBron in his ranking. James now comes in at number 7, whereas he previously wasn't ranked by the Chuckster. I love LeBron and everything about him, but I do think the way they play the game today, he wouldn't want any part of those bad boy Pistons. Let me tell you something, those guys were out there trying to hurt people. Barkley played against the Pistons, who won 2 NBA championships in a row before Jordan began his run. For what it's worth, Bad Boy members Isaiah Thomas and Bill Laimbeer have both said they'd take LeBron over MJ in the GOAT debate. Number 2. Dennis Rodman. Most humans are inclined to think that the era in which they matured most rapidly is much better than whatever current culture exists. We see it in opinions of music, the moral worth of today's youth, and all manner of other issues. Retired NBA players are no different. Their era was always tougher, or more challenging, or closer to the true meaning of basketball, as if such a thing could ever be defined. For the most part, these opinions are fairly harmless. Sometimes, though, they reach well past acceptable bias and towards something so absurd that they should be dismissed entirely. On Dan Patrick's radio show in 2013, Hall of Famer Dennis Rodman exhibited one of these opinions in regards to LeBron James. If LeBron was playing in the late 80s or early 90s, Rodman said, he'd be just an average player. Comparing players across eras requires a level of imaginative projection that may not be possible given the evidence at hand. Assuming a level of certainty can lead to some goofy opinions. When Rodman weighed in on the differences between Jordan and LeBron, he ended up telling us much more about himself than about either player. Number 3. Joakim Noah. Joakim Noah has been engaged in a decade-long feud with LeBron. The two engaged in an altercation during a Cavaliers vs. Bulls game in 2009. During the fourth quarter of the game, with around 6 minutes left on the clock, James and Joakim had a verbal spat. The two engaged in another altercation back in 2015 when LeBron's Cavaliers faced the Bulls in the playoffs. During Game 3 of the Cavs vs. Bulls playoffs in 2015, Noah called out LeBron once again and called him, a female dog. More than a decade since their first altercation, Joakim Noah has opened up on the feud. It was real, man. There were times when I really felt like I hated him. I hated everybody who was in the way. I was like, yo, I'm not feeling you. I'm not trying to be friends with you. Every game between Noah and LeBron became a war of attrition, whether James was with the Cavaliers or playing for the Miami Heat. Now, Noah is retired, but he didn't win a title during his 13-year career, primarily because of his team's inability to stop James in the postseason. Number 4. Paul Pierce. It's not a secret that Paul Pierce and LeBron James don't like each other. They starred in some of the best playoff series in NBA history, and those Boston Celtics-Miami Heat games were always must-watch television. It's also pretty obvious that Pierce likes to take down LeBron as often as he can. He was as petty as he could be when he was forced to talk about him on ESPN, and his matchups with James were always personal. Now, the truth has finally revealed how the rivalry started, and it turns out that it goes all the way back to James' first preseason game with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Apparently, the bench got chippy and Pierce spat on them. I'm glad social media wasn't out there because I spit at their bench. I probably would have gotten fined. You know, the crazy thing about it was a preseason game that didn't mean anything. I know, me and LeBron going back and forth, the bench is yelling at something, and I look over at the bench and I'm like, that's why y'all are on the bench or something, and I spit at them. Former player turned analyst Kendrick Perkins, who was teammates with Pierce back then, confirmed the story. Per Pierce, both teams were actually looking forward to getting physical. It ended up turning up. After the game, both teams were meeting in the back. We had guys ready to fight. We had to hold people back. Guys were ready to fight. Ever since that moment, LeBron James and Paul Pierce hate each other. They don't speak together, even now today. At the end of the day, Pierce built his Hall of Fame resume, and James became one of the greatest players of all time, so it worked out pretty well for both of them. Number 5. Chauncey Billups. The debate over whether Michael Jordan or LeBron James deserves to be labeled the greatest player of all time is one of the most prolific topics of discussions in the NBA world. Both players' merits and achievements have been analyzed extensively, yet the debate lingers. Traditionally, Jordan nor LeBron made cases for themselves, preferring instead to skirt around the edges of the debate. LeBron significantly changed his approach in 2018 when he claimed that inspiring the Cleveland Cavaliers to their maiden NBA title in 2016 made him the greatest player in the game's history. That one right there made you the greatest player of all time, LeBron said in an episode of More Than an Athlete. The claim was never going to go unchallenged, and Chauncey Billups swiftly dismissed it. He is on Mount Rushmore, but I can't put him at the top. There is no way I can put him at the top. Maybe if he had hit that shot that Kyrie Irving hit, I could see him saying that, but I can't go there. I'm sorry. The Cavs were widely considered the underdogs when they met the Warriors in the 2016 finals, which would prove to be the second of 4 consecutive finals contested between the two teams. Number 6. Hakeem Olajuwon. Hakeem Olajuwon was one of the most dominant players of his generation. He was a part of the elite 1984 NBA draft that took the NBA by storm in the coming years. Olajuwon spent 18 years in the NBA and played for 2 teams. With so much experience, his knowledge of the game is superior to many. He gave an interesting take on the Michael Jordan versus LeBron James debate in 2015. The 2-time NBA champion gave an interview to CNBC's Worldwide Exchange in 2015. During the interview, he was asked if LeBron James is up there with the greatest players of all time. To this, Olajuwon said that he is among the greatest, but Jordan is a far superior player. When people start comparing him with Jordan, that's not a fair comparison. Jordan was a far more superior player in a very tough league, and he was very creative. That's not taking away anything from LeBron because he is a great player, but it is not a fair comparison because Jordan is a far superior player. Olajuwon said that James is surely among the NBA greats, but he made himself very clear when it comes to Jordan versus LeBron. And what is your opinion on LeBron James? Is he the greatest player of all time? If not, what else does he need to do to prove that he is? I would love to hear what you think, so please let me know in the comments. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more amazing NBA content. Thanks for watching!